The night was too quiet for a town that rarely slept. A single phone call shattered that silence. Emily paused, breath tight, sensing trouble before words arrived. The voice on the line trembled like it carried a storm. A secret long buried was clawing its way back to the surface. Someone had broken the pact they all swore to protect. Shadows from the past stepped forward without warning. Emily felt the weight of a truth she never wanted to face. Nothing about this call was random. Nothing about this timing was coincidence. The danger was real, and it was already close. A name whispered through the static made her blood run cold. The story she thought had ended was only sleeping. Now it was awake, hungry, and ready to pull her in again. And this time, there would be no easy escape. Emily stepped onto the porch as the last echo of the call faded. The cold air pressed against her skin like a warning she couldn't ignore. She scanned the empty street, searching for movement that wasn't there. Her thoughts raced faster than her heartbeat as dread seeped in. The name she heard still rang in her mind like a dark omen. Marcus Hale. A ghost from a past she never wanted to reopen. She locked the door behind her, though she knew it wouldn't help. Locks meant nothing against the kind of danger Marcus carried. She moved toward the kitchen, needing light, needing clarity, needing control. Her hands shook as she poured water into a glass. The memory of Marcus's last warning replayed with painful precision. He told her truth had a way of resurfacing when least wanted. Back then, she didn't believe him. Now she had no choice. Emily pulled out the old box hidden under the cabinet floorboard. She hesitated before touching it, as if it might burn her. Inside were remnants of a life she fought hard to bury. Photos stained by fear. Letters written in secret. Evidence of choices that twisted everyone's fate. She ran her fingers across a torn picture of 3 smiling faces. The smile she wore in that photo was a lie she crafted well. Marcus stood beside her, confident and dangerous in equal measure. Between them was Ryan, the one person who believed peace was possible. Ryan's disappearance destroyed whatever innocence remained in their circle. Emily felt guilt coil inside her like a living thing. She should have protected him. She should have listened sooner. The phone buzzed again, vibrating across the counter with urgency. A message appeared with no sender, only a single sentence. "You're next if you don't finish what you started." Her breath caught, sharp and painful. The threat wasn't new, but the timing was deliberate. Someone wanted her afraid before they even arrived. She forced herself to stay steady, though her pulse betrayed her. Emily took the box and spread every piece across the table. She needed answers hidden between fragments of the past. A folded map slipped out and landed near her hand. She unfolded it slowly, recognizing the marked location instantly. Blackridge Quarry. The place where everything fell apart. The place where Ryan vanished and Marcus disappeared into legend. The place Emily swore she'd never return to. But the message made it clear that avoiding it was no longer an option. The truth she ran from was calling her back to the beginning. She closed her eyes, gathering courage she didn't feel. If the past demanded answers, she would face it. But she sensed she wasn't the only one drawn to that place tonight. Someone else was already on their way, and they weren't coming in peace. The drive to Blackridge Quarry felt longer than the map ever suggested. Emily gripped the wheel hard as the road narrowed into a lonely stretch. Fog rolled in thick waves, swallowing the headlights and mooting the world. Every mile pulled her deeper into memories she wanted to forget. Ryan's laughter, Marcus's warnings, her own naive trust. They blended into a noise she couldn't silence. She checked the rearview mirror for the 3rd time in minutes. A pair of faint headlights hovered far behind her like a quiet shadow. She couldn't tell if they followed her or simply shared the same path. Either possibility unsettled her more than she wanted to admit. She pressed the gas, hopping distance would bring clarity. The lights stayed steady, neither gaining nor fading. A knot tightened in her chest as the past and present blurred. Her phone buzzed on the passenger seat with ruthless insistence. She glanced at it, unsure if she wanted to see the message. Another warning glowed across the screen like a cold whisper. Don't trust anyone on the road tonight. Her hands trembled despite her effort to stay calm. The message offered no sender, no clue, no mercy. She looked into the mirror again, heart punching her ribs. The headlights behind her flickered as if the car hit uneven ground. Emily slowed, needing to confirm what her mind feared. When she eased to a crawl, the car behind slowed as well. The truth hit her like a shock of ice. Someone was following her. Someone who knew exactly where she was headed. She pulled onto a gravel turnout and cut the engine. Silence roared in her ears as she waited for the car to pass. But the road stayed empty, and the lights vanished like they never existed. Confusion washed through her in a wave of disbelief. She stepped out, breath misting in the cold night air. The forest loomed around her like a dark, listening crowd. She scanned the road, searching for any sign of movement. Nothing stirred, except the distant moan of wind across the trees. Her heartbeat echoed too loudly as she returned to the car. She locked the doors out of instinct rather than reassurance. The road ahead felt heavier with each mile she resumed. The quarry's rusted fences soon broke through the fog. They rose like skeletal remains, guarding forgotten sins. Emily parked near the gate, her pulse unsteady but determined. The air smelled of damp rock, dust, and something older. She stepped through the broken fence panel, careful and aware. Shadows curled around the abandoned site like unwelcome hosts. A faint crunch sounded behind her, subtle but real. She spun, scanning the darkness for the source. No figure appeared, but the feeling of being watched intensified. Someone else was already here. Someone who moved with purpose and patience. Emily swallowed hard, forcing her feet forward. If answers waited in this place, so did danger. And she sensed the two were now inseparable. Emily moved deeper into the quarry, stones crunching beneath her boots. Shadows stretched long across broken machinery and rusted beams. The wind carried whispers that could have been her imagination. She clenched the box tighter, feeling the weight of secrets inside. Every step seemed to echo louder than the last. The path narrowed into a jagged corridor of rock walls. She paused, sensing movement behind a collapsed structure. Her eyes adjusted, but no one appeared. Only the sound of dripping water and her own shallow breath. Emily remembered Ryan's last words about trust and caution. He warned her that some truths were guarded by more than fear. She shook her head, forcing focus on the task ahead. The marked spot on the map lay just beyond a fallen crane. She approached slowly, every nerve alert. The ground was uneven, scattered with debris and shards of metal. A faint glow reflected from the far side of the quarry pit. Emily squinted, heart quickening as curiosity and fear collided. A figure emerged from behind a pile of rocks. Tall, thin, and cloaked in shadow. Emily froze, recognizing the posture instantly. Marcus. He stepped forward, expression unreadable in the pale moonlight. Emily, he said softly, voice carrying an edge of warning. I didn't expect to see you here so soon. I had no choice, she replied, voice steady despite nerves. You shouldn't be here, Marcus said, eyes scanning the darkness. I know, she admitted, but I need answers. He studied her for a long moment, tension thick in the air. Finally, Marcus gestured toward the center of the quarry. Emily followed, heart pounding with anticipation and unease. The glow grew brighter as they approached an old, collapsed warehouse. Inside, remnants of their shared past were scattered across the floor. Boxes, papers, and photographs lay in disarray. A single spotlight flickered above, illuminating a circle of dust. Marcus crouched, picking up a worn envelope. Emily held her breath as he handed it to her. Inside were letters, coded and folded in a way only she could read. Each one carried fragments of a conspiracy she thought was dead. Ryan's disappearance, the warnings, the hidden threats. Every detail tied back to one shadowy figure they once trusted. Emily's fingers trembled as she absorbed the information. "You need to understand," Marcus said quietly. "This isn't just about us." She looked up, eyes wide, heart racing. The people behind this, they're everywhere, watching, waiting. Fear clawed at her, but determination burned stronger. Emily tucked the letters into the box, a plan forming. Marcus nodded, seemingly satisfied with her resolve. "We have to move fast," he warned, "before they realize we're here." Emily glanced at the darkness beyond the warehouse. Footsteps, faint but deliberate, closing in from all sides. The past was no longer a memory. It was alive, hunting them. Marcus extended his hand, and Emily took it without hesitation. Together, they stepped toward the edge of the pit. The night around them was thick, full of secrets yet to be revealed. Every shadow could hold an enemy. Every sound could signal betrayal. But Emily felt a spark of courage she hadn't known in years. The fight for truth was beginning, and there was no turning back. Emily and Marcus moved quickly through the shadows, feet scraping against gravel. The quarry seemed alive, echoing every movement with a cruel precision. They paused behind a collapsed wall, listening to sounds in the distance. Heavy breathing, footsteps not theirs. Someone was coming. Marcus motioned her to stay low, eyes scanning the perimeter. Emily's pulse hammered in her ears, but she obeyed without question. A figure appeared through the mist, carrying a flashlight that cut through darkness. The beam landed near them, swaying slightly as the person walked. Marcus pressed Emily against the wall, holding her still. The stranger moved closer, unaware of their presence. Emily recognized the cautious gait immediately. It was Claire Donovan, someone they hadn't expected to see. Claire froze when she sensed a presence behind her. "Marcus," she whispered, voice trembling despite effort. He stepped out slowly, hands raised in peace. "Claire, you shouldn't be here either," he said, eyes wary. "I didn't have a choice. I found something," Claire replied, pulling a folder from her bag. Emily's curiosity flared, though suspicion held her back. The folder contained photos, documents, and encrypted notes. Every piece hinted at a web of lies, and betrayal larger than they imagined. "The people after us," Claire said. "They're organizing, they know we're awake." Marcus and Emily exchanged a tense glance. Time was running out faster than they realized. Emily took the folder, scanning the contents quickly. Every document confirmed her fears about the conspiracy. Names, dates, secret meetings, all pointing to betrayal from within. Claire swallowed hard, eyes darting toward the darkened paths. "They're close," she warned. Emily nodded, heart racing but mind sharp. They needed a plan, a way to expose everything before it was too late. Marcus stepped forward, outlining a path through the quarry's ruins. "We split up briefly, distract them, then meet at the North Ridge," he instructed. Emily hesitated, knowing the risk. But inaction could mean capture or worse. Claire agreed silently, checking the folder once more. Emily took a deep breath and moved toward the eastern path. Every shadow seemed to shift, every noise amplified. She kept low, careful not to alert anyone to her presence. Footsteps echoed behind her, growing louder with each second. She ducked behind a rusted crate, holding her breath. The intruder passed by, unaware, and Emily continued forward. Meanwhile, Marcus circled around, drawing attention away. Claire followed another path, carrying the folder like a lifeline. The quarry felt like a trap, corners hiding danger at every turn. Emily's mind raced with strategies, options, and worst-case scenarios. She remembered Ryan's courage, the way he fought for truth. It fueled her, a spark in the encroaching darkness. Finally, Emily reached a vantage point overlooking the North Ridge. The other two joined her moments later, regrouping silently. From this height, the entire quarry stretched below, a labyrinth of peril. They could see movement, shadows shifting among rocks and debris. The hunters were patient, but they were here. Emily's hands clenched the folder and letters, determination blazing. It was time to confront the past and force the truth into the light. No matter the cost, they would not back down. The night held its breath, waiting for the storm to break. And Emily, Marcus, and Claire were ready to strike first. Emily, Marcus, and Claire crouched behind the ridge, scanning the quarry below. Shadows moved cautiously, like predators hunting in the dark. Every step from their enemies echoed across the rocks. Emily clutched the folder tighter, her knuckles white. The information inside could change everything. Marcus pointed toward a narrow path that led to the abandoned tower. "If we reach the tower, we can observe them without being seen," he whispered. Claire nodded, adjusting her grip on the folder. The three of them descended silently, hearts pounding with each careful step. The gravel crunched softly underfoot, threatening to betray their position. Emily's ears strained for any sound that could signal danger. A faint rustle came from the east side of the quarry. Marcus signaled them to freeze immediately. Two figures emerged, scanning the area with flashlights. Emily recognized the stance and knew they were trained. Her stomach tightened, but retreat wasn't an option. She counted their steps, timing when it was safe to move. The trio slipped past, sticking close to shadows and debris. The tower grew closer, a jagged silhouette against the moonlit sky. From the top, they would have a view of the entire quarry. Emily's pulse raced with anticipation and fear. They reached the base of the tower without incident. Marcus checked the structural integrity, then gestured upward. Emily climbed first, careful of loose beams. Claire followed, the folder pressed against her chest. Marcus brought up the rear, scanning for pursuit. At the top, the view stretched wide, revealing more figures moving below. They were surrounded by agents, precise and silent, closing in slowly. Emily felt the weight of responsibility pressing down. If they were discovered, there would be no escape. She studied the arrangement of the enemies, noting weaknesses and paths. Claire whispered, "We need a signal to act together." Marcus nodded, formulating a plan on the spot. Emily took a deep breath, feeling the adrenaline surge. They couldn't wait any longer. The moment to act had arrived. Marcus pointed to the south side, where a cluster of agents gathered. Emily understood immediately. She would create a distraction. She pulled a small flare from her pocket, the one she kept for emergencies. With a deep inhale, she lit it and tossed it toward the south group. The flare ignited instantly, casting bright red light across the rocks. Agents shouted, moving toward the source of the light. Emily dropped behind a beam, heart hammering as planned. Marcus and Claire moved swiftly, navigating the confusion below. Emily's mind raced, tracking every movement, every shadow, every footstep. From above, they could see the agents being lured into traps. The night air was tense, charged with the energy of imminent confrontation. Emily felt a surge of control, despite the chaos surrounding them. Claire signaled from below, thumbs up, indicating Marcus was in position. Emily waited, counting heartbeats, until Marcus triggered the next phase. A series of controlled noise and movement drew more agents toward the tower. Emily used the distraction to descend carefully, merging with her allies. They regrouped at the base, close enough to strike decisively. The folder and letters were safe, and the agents were scattered. Emily breathed, realizing the tide had shifted, but the danger remained. The night had only just begun, and the real battle was about to start. Emily, Marcus, and Claire pressed forward, moving through the quarry with purpose. The scattered agents were regrouping, alerted by the tower distraction. Every shadow seemed alive, every corner a potential threat. Emily held the folder tightly, knowing it contained the key to everything. Marcus signaled left, guiding them toward the old maintenance shed. Inside, they could plan their next move without being seen. Claire glanced around nervously, aware that time was slipping fast. A distant shout echoed, confirming their pursuers were aware of their presence. Emily's stomach twisted, but she kept her steps steady and deliberate. The shed door creaked as they entered, but the sound was muffled by the wind. Dust hung in the air, making every breath taste dry and metallic. Marcus locked the door behind them, creating a temporary sanctuary. Emily spread the letters and documents across a broken table. Every piece was a clue, a fragment of the conspiracy that haunted them. Claire leaned closer, scanning the pages for connections. Names, locations, and dates were scribbled in careful secrecy. Ryan's disappearance appeared repeatedly, tied to each critical event. Emily traced the lines with her finger, realizing the scope of betrayal. Someone powerful orchestrated everything from the shadows. "Who can we trust?" Claire asked quietly, voice trembling. Emily shook her head, frustration and fear mixing in her chest. Marcus stepped forward, eyes intense and calculating. "We trust each other, and only each other," he said firmly. Emily nodded, feeling a renewed determination harden inside her. They had to move fast before their enemies closed in completely. Marcus pointed to a narrow passage leading out of the shed. "We take the hidden path. It leads to the northern ridge and safety," he explained. Emily checked the map, confirming the route. It was risky, but it offered the only chance to regroup. They moved quickly, careful not to alert anyone nearby. Every sound, footsteps, wind, distant shouts, heightened their alertness. Emily felt the weight of the letters and folder, a tangible responsibility. They climbed over jagged rocks, shadows stretching long in the moonlight. A sudden noise made them freeze, hearts hammering in unison. Two figures emerged from behind boulders, blocking the path. Emily's breath caught, but Marcus stepped forward without hesitation. "Back off," he warned, voice steady and commanding. The figures hesitated, revealing familiar faces in the dim light. It was allies, not enemies, old friends thought lost to the conspiracy. Emily's tension eased slightly, though caution remained. They guided the trio through hidden trails, avoiding open paths. The northern ridge came into view, bathed in soft moonlight. From there, they could see the entire quarry and plan a final move. Emily spread the documents across the ridge, analyzing the connections. Marcus and Claire reviewed escape routes and potential strategies. The conspiracy's network was extensive, but now they had leverage. Every piece of evidence was a weapon in their hands. Emily felt a surge of hope, tempered by the danger that still surrounded them. The night had been long, filled with fear, tension, and relentless pursuit. But for the first time, they had clarity and purpose. The next steps would determine everything: truth, survival, and justice. Emily clenched her fists, ready to face whatever came next. The shadows below waited, but now she felt prepared. This was their moment to take control of the story. And they would not let it slip away. The first light of dawn touched the quarry, casting long shadows across the rocks. Emily, Marcus, and Claire stood on the northern ridge, breathing heavily. The agents below were scattered, disoriented by the night's chaos. The evidence in their hands had shifted the balance of power. Emily looked at the letters and folder, realizing the fight wasn't over. But now they held the truth. Marcus nodded, eyes scanning the horizon for any lingering threats. Claire let out a slow breath, tension easing slightly. The night had tested them, but they survived. Every secret revealed, every trap survived, strengthened their resolve. Emily felt a sense of control she hadn't known in years. They were no longer running from the past, they were confronting it. The quarry, once a place of fear, now marked a turning point. Emily's mind raced with plans for exposing the conspiracy completely. Marcus spoke quietly. "We move next, but cautiously." Claire nodded, understanding the stakes. The wind shifted, carrying distant sounds, but none approached. Emily looked toward the rising sun, hope flickering in her chest. For the first time, the future felt theirs to shape. The past would not define them anymore. They would fight, uncover, and survive. Together, they turned away from the quarry, ready to face what came next. The night's shadows faded, but their courage remained. The story was far from over, but they were prepared. And this time, they would write the ending themselves.